Ah yes, Toyota, a car company everyone knows and loves for one reason: stability and consistency. Toyota is very much like pandas. If you keep them in a good environment in which they can survive, they will thrive and churn out sales numbers like you can't believe. Well, maybe not that part. But that doesn't mean that Toyota doesn't adapt. We can see clear adaptation here to different markets and different tastes of the time. But what's really interesting is to see how they got there. Now, to better understand the clarity of my point, today we're going to be talking about the Toyota Camry. Are you really surprised? The Camry is basically a representation of what Toyota is doing at that point in time. And here are the generations we're going to be looking at. So on the bottom right, you have the 7th generation facelifted. In the middle bottom, you have the regular 7th generation. All the way over to the side, you have the ever-classic, hated 6th generation. Up in the middle top, you have the 5th gen. And then all the way over to the right top, you have the ever-popular 4th generation 1990s style Camry. Now let's just start off by looking at the 4th and 5th generations. Notice how stringy they are. Notice how long the hoods are. Notice the shortness of the rear trunk. Notice the wheel styles, the design cues, the design languages, the double barred bottom, the lack of fog lights on most models, and the shape of the headlights in relation to the grille. I want you to ask yourself, would you see the silhouette of these two cars, and would you describe them as similar? Now let's look at the 7th gens, and an 8th gen that I've thrown in there just for funsies and to prove my point, because it wouldn't really make sense if you're looking at two Camrys of the same generation. Again, notice the stylistic features. Notice the grille relation to the headlights. It's all connected. Notice the shape of the grille changing into that more Lexus-y diamond pattern as time goes on. Notice the silhouette of the car. Notice the shorter hood, the wheels being moved up more front towards the hood, a more stubby nose, and a really extremely stubby back, where the rear window, instead of just abruptly dropping onto a flat rear bonnet, just glides very smoothly and silhouette-y, especially you can see it on the 8th generation, all the way down to the trunk and eventually the taillights. Think to yourself, would you describe the silhouette of these two vehicles as similar? And now let's look at that 6th generation. Notice how different it is from all of the others. I mean, even from different angles. Compared to the other one, this one is more like an alien. It's more blobby. It's got a shorter trunk and a shorter hood and a stubbier face. But it's still too thick and big, and it's not necessarily stringy enough. The hood isn't quite long enough. The trunk isn't quite short enough. The wheelbase isn't quite long enough to match both the 5th and 4th generations before it and the 7th and 8th generations after it. It's an imposter, if you will, a hybrid of the two. And the car that eventually inspired the 2012 Camry's design was a hybrid, and just the one you're thinking of. But before we can understand that, we need to see what happens when you get it wrong. Now, on the surface, when you look at the Honda Civic's transition from the before times, the blobby times, to the strict, new, and straight times, it looks pretty spick and span. I mean, people were happy with both generations. But were they? The 2012 Civic, the Cruella of the Honda lineup. Everyone hated this thing. Now, this is just screenshotted from Google's standard AI. I trust it because, again, I literally made a video on this, looked at all the sources. So if you're more interested in this generation of Civic, I have an entire video on it. It's probably horrible because I don't trust myself to be competent in the past. Anyway, people hated it because they saw the design and they said, wow, it's too old, it's too outdated, it's just bad, too much wind noise. There were a lot of reasons. But one of those reasons was the style. And if we look at the two generations, we can see the more updated version at the bottom, and on the right side there, the older generation, we can see it looks more like the older generation. It really does. It's got a longer bonnet. It's more like curved in the front than the updated version. Its grille is more unified with the headlights like the older version was. The wheels are more simple compared to the more radical hubcaps and like crazy wheel designs that the Civics got into in later years, and it's just a plain Jane sedan. Honda got it wrong. They played the safe card, a card that Toyota at the time during the financial crisis could but didn't want to have to afford. So now that we've seen what can happen when you get the transition between styling shifts wrong, let's look at what happened to the Camry to allow it to get it right the first time and inspire the rest of Toyota's lineup to change after it. Well, much like all Camrys, it starts with a Prius. That's right, the inspiration for the 2012 Camry was this booger-eyed, baby-faced goober. But more specific than that, the Camry hybrid. When we look at Toyota's hybrid lineup from the late 2000s, they're all just hybrid versions of different cars. Nothing's unified. And that all comes down to the design of the Prius itself. The Prius was its own thing. It wasn't designed to fit into the lineup. It was designed to be new, be different. They tried that with the first generation Prius, the little sedan thing. It didn't work out. They needed something drastic, and people loved this design. But all of these hybrid offerings were just really a stopgap. A stopgap for what, you may ask? The unification of the Prius designs and the later, soon-to-come Prius family. So Toyota wanted to unify the Prius, but the Prius family wouldn't be ready at least until 2012. There was a lot of development to do. So as a stopgap to the stopgap, they redesigned the Camry hybrid. So here's the new Prius. It kind of clashes with the old Toyota Camry. The grills don't match, the headlights don't match, the horizontal, it just doesn't, nothing works. The bottom grill is really, really thick and wide on the Toyota. On the Camry, it's really small. The side little spots where the lights would go, the fog lights, on the Prius, they're up and down, but on the Camry, they're horizontal. It just clashes. The Camry's too baby-faced. I mean, the new Prius is very baby-faced, but the Camry is like 1,000 times. So why don't we redesign it? Why don't we change it up a bit? Just unify it a little bit in preparation for that mega family of all families. Now that is much better. That is a redesigned Camry hybrid. It's still the same generation, but with new headlights. They dive out to the front. The bumper doesn't stick out as much at you. The grill's been brought down. There have been two little wings created on the side of the Toyota emblem, as there have been on the Prius. And remember how I mentioned that the fog lights were horizontal? They've been moved vertical to match the Prius more, and the gap, the opening at the bottom, has been widened, therefore to match the Prius, right? Now let me just swap out another image for you. Well, well, well. Would you look at that? Look what the cat dragged in. Oh, look, we wore the same thing to work again today. See the differences? See the similarities? See the two wings on the side of the Toyota emblem? See the little divot in the middle of them? See the unified headlights? See the grill at the bottom? Look at how similar they are. Look at the crazy similarities. You see a little dip down at the front of the tail, at the front of the headlights? Just move that back a little bit, put the projector beam slightly to the side, elongate the front. They're exactly pretty much the same headlights. Now, Toyota, it's like when you copy off your best friend's homework. We gotta change it up a little bit. Sure, they straightened the lines on the side. They made some new stuff different. They changed a decent amount, and they learned most of that from their competitors. But you cannot deny that some of that, definitely, if not most of that, came from that Camry hybrid. Well, here's that evolution graph from before, except this time with the 8th generation added for some context. It looks fine, but there's something missing. Does this help fill it in? The change of the design from one generation to the next? Now, we know what can happen when they get it wrong, but this isn't just about the Camry here. It's not just about, oh, well, the Camry style changed. This was the face of Toyota for a while. So here is the Toyota designs in the Toyota cars. We have the Corolla, the Highlander, the Sienna minivan, and of course the Camry. These are the cars that dictated Toyota during the classic era. Well, at least the classic era for people who were born yesterday. The late 2000s to the early 2010s, right? Not really the classic era, but just, good old-fashioned Toyota. You can't really name a lot of design motifs. They all just look kind of the same. I mean, there's not like a reoccurring thing. Like, you know how Audi and Lexus, they all have the same grille? That wasn't really apparent. They were all kind of stylized and designed differently. They were all Toyota, but the thing that united all these cars the most was the emblem. Now, when we bring out their newer counterparts, the Corolla in 2015, the Highlander in 2015, the Sienna in 2017, and then the Camry, as previously mentioned, in 2012, they all have a similar design motif. They all have a trapezoidal grille. In the case of the Highlander, it's more up. In the case of the Toyota, it's more squashed. The headlights are unified with the front, upper, pretend grille, and not really a pretend grille on the, Highlander, but on the rest of them, it's pretty, not a lot goes through there. It's mainly that bottom one. The headlights are connected, and then there's the Toyota emblem with two little wings sticking out that unify into the headlights in some way with two more horizontally faced fog lights. This helped Toyota get a design motif which would give it brand reliability and would give it sales numbers like you wouldn't believe during the golden age, or what I believe to be the golden age of Toyota. Now, you could say this is just a tangent, but you could say, the older is gold. There were still issues in the classic. I hate that I'm calling it classic. You know how many, literal kids watch this channel. During the classic era, there were still issues. The Toyota Prius and the Toyota Camry had, piston ring problems and oil consumption issues, and the new Camry was much improved for that, and there were a bunch of other stuff that just wasn't fantastic. So I would argue the golden age was about 2012 to 2017, around that area. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I'm finally back. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this video made some sense to you, and you can see where I'm coming from. And this is it's nearly verified. I mean, it's crazy how everything lines up. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.